Well, flows here with the international papers. Lots of details starting to emerge about the two gunmen shot dead outside a Texas event showing cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad.
That's right. You can read about it a lot in the U.S. media. The New York Times today has a picture that's starting to emerge of these two men from Phoenix. Very different characters. You have 30-year-old Elton Simpson. He was an extrovert drawn to basketball and Islam, and he was a terror suspect, according to the New York Times. Court documents show that he'd been under surveillance since 2006, and actually he had been convicted in 2010 for lying about plans to go to Somalia. So that's one of the gunmen. The other one, 34-year-old Nadir Hamid Sufi, he was a more quiet character. He ran a carpet cleaning business, went to the same mosque, though, as Elton Simpson. They lived in the same apartment complex as well. Still a lot of mystery about their motive, and the New York Times reports about their families and friends who were completely shocked that they were identified as the gunmen. There were no signs they were planning on carrying out the attack.
Lots of focus as well, Flo, on the target, of course, here, a gathering showcasing artwork and cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad.
That's right. It's being called the Draw Muhammad contest. It offered artists a top prize of $10,000 for the best caricature of the Prophet. As you can imagine, very controversial event. Well, organized by a very controversial woman as well. She's being described in the Daily Beast today, Pamela Geller. She's drawn a lot of criticism in the media today for blatantly provoking Muslims who believe that the depiction of the Prophet is sacrilegious. Now, it's a very interesting piece about her because it starts off by saying this self-stylized anti-jihad web warrior was an embarrassment. But that being said, it doesn't diminish her right to freedom of speech. And of course, this is the debate that keeps coming time and time again. And the Daily Beast says this whole story is really a grim reminder of the Charlie Hebdo attack here in Paris in January. And you can see here, it asks the question, Je suis Pamela Geller. Of course, the Je suis Charlie was the slogan that emerged in the wake of the January attack.
Lots of focus as well on Thursday's general election in Great Britain and the state of the country as well.
That's right. It's always interesting to see how papers outside of Great Britain are focusing on your election. Let's
true.
take a look in the Washington Post. Pretty grim picture, it must be said. It says that politics in Britain have rarely been as fractured. The two-party system that dominated the 20th century is collapsing. You can see here they're talking about the center cannot hold. Competition is no longer between Labour and the Conservatives. These formerly fringe parties, smaller parties like the SNP, the Green Party, UKIP, are starting to become very important parties that could really shape the future of British politics. And according to a survey in the Independent Day, lots of British citizens want the system to change. You can see here they're talking about 60% of British citizens want electoral reform, voting reform. They want to do away with the current first-past-the-post system in favor of a more proportional representation. Why is that? Well, the Independent says that it's fears of post-election chaos that are really fueling a surge in support for proportional representation.
Okay, we shall have all the results, of course, on Friday's programme. Now, Israel is in the spotlight as an NGO has accused the Israeli Defence Force of indiscriminate fire at Palestinians during last summer's war with Gaza.
That's right. Reactions just starting to pour in really to this NGO's report. It's an NGO called Breaking the Silence. You can read about this 237-page report here in the Jerusalem Post. Now, the report is titled, "This is How We Fought in Gaza." It compiles testimonies from 60 anonymous Israeli soldiers who fought during Operation Cast Lead. And according to the NGO, from the testimonies, a troubling picture arises of a policy of indiscriminate fire that led to the deaths of innocent civilians. So as I said, lots of reaction pouring in over this report. I pulled out an article from Le Monde, the French paper, that you can see talks about the moral downward spiral of the Israeli army in Gaza and reminds readers that 2,100 Palestinians and 66 Israeli soldiers died during that military operation.
And finally, I have no idea what this is about, but a quick word about Satanists in the States.
That's right. Now, we've been talking a lot about conservatives in the U.S. Increasingly using their right to religious liberty to defend using state property to proselytize and also disobey laws that protect women and gays and lesbians in the United States. Well, those efforts are being hampered by a group of pranksters who claim to worship Satan in the United States. So whenever Christians want to erect a Christian a statue or distribute Christian public material, etc. Well, a New York-based satanic temple is also going to erect a statue of Satan or distribute material about Satan, etc. And so their latest target is abortion laws, anti-abortion laws, specifically in Missouri. So if you're interested in reading about these pranksters, head to Slate. It's a very interesting and amusing article, I must say.
Yeah, it does sound quite fun, doesn't it? Thanks a lot, Flo. Flo with the international papers on France 24 and Stephen with business, of course.